All right, I think it's finally time we have this conversation. This is the second most frequently asked question that I receive, whether it be Instagram DMs, YouTube comments, wherever it is. The first question I get is how I make money while traveling. And I think we covered that in another video. And also I'll be talking about that a ton in an upcoming course. But the second most frequently asked question is how I stay fit while traveling. And to be honest, this is a video that I've been wanting to make for some time now, but I really wasn't sure how to make it without sounding weird or looking funny.
Protein!
Regardless, this is a conversation that I really want to have, and hopefully this is helpful to those of you that want to travel around the world, or even if you're at home, hopefully this helps your day-to-day life. Because to give you a little backstory, I've been traveling around the world for the last 9.5 years, and I have yet to, knock on wood, fall into extreme sickness or illness or any serious injuries. And granted, anything can happen at any time, but I believe the better you are equipped, the better your body is in tune, the better you can deal with these situations, whether it be sickness, eating a bad food, having an injury, things like that. When you're far from home, I think it's really important that you have your health, because without your health, you really don't have anything. But before we jump into this information, I want to give a big shout out to the sponsor of this video, and that is Fully. Now, for those of you that watch my YouTube lives and my Instagram stories, you know that I've moved into an apartment here in San Diego, California. This is my home base now, and I really wanted to have an office set up. I was tired of sitting over coffee tables in different coffee shops and places around the world, and I wanted to have something that I was very comfortable with, that I can be very productive at. So I reached out to Fully and I said, hey, I would love to test out your standing desk and also one of your awesomely ergonomic chairs. And they said, you got it. So I want to give a big shout out to them. All right, let's jump into the video. As I mentioned, I've been traveling around the world for about 9.5 years, and I haven't been extremely sick or injured in that time frame. Now, don't get me wrong, I have had my fair share of cases of explosive diarrhea, but other than that, I've been pretty good. I've only been to the hospital one time, and that was actually on my very first trip to Argentina. I don't know how much detail we want to get into, but basically I have a cyst on the back of my neck that got infected. I didn't have any travel insurance at that point, but I was bartending, and the owner of the bar knew a surgeon, or he said he was a surgeon. So he told me to take these drink chips to the Hospital Italiano in downtown Buenos Aires, and he would set me up. So I went with my roommate because I didn't speak any Spanish at that point. We went into the basement of the hospital. He found an empty room. He laid me down on a bed, put his knee into my back, put his hand on my shoulder and said, this will probably hurt a little bit. Took a scalpel and he just sliced my back open. Blood and pus and all that stuff came out. Again, probably telling you way too much information. And I paid him in drink coupons. So that was my big sickness or injury in the last 9.5 years. All right, so with that little story aside, this is my regimen. This is what I do to stay healthy and stay fit while traveling. All right, let's start out with the basics. And I have 5 fundamental things that I follow in order to stay fit while traveling. And the first one, just let's jump right into it. The first one is I drink plenty of water, tons of water. I think this is the health secret to life in general. For everyone, no matter if you travel or not, you gotta drink plenty of water. In North America, in Western Europe, and some other places around the world, you can drink the tap water, but I know that's not always the case. But you can buy these, in most places around the world, you can buy the big water jugs at the grocery store or convenience store, whatever it may be. And then I bring around a portable water bottle so that I can fill up that water bottle every time I leave the house or Airbnb or hotel, wherever I may be. The biggest thing is try to avoid the single-use small water bottles, buy a big jug, and drink plenty of water. That's number 1. Number 2 is I don't drink any coffee. And this is a personal thing for me because I've just never wanted to be addicted to it. One thing I've seen with traveling with other people is their emotions, their attitude, and also their energy levels in the morning are dictated by coffee. And I never wanted to make that a part of my life. So that, I feel like that helps me. Number 3 is I don't crave any snacky foods. I don't crave potato chips or French fries. I actually don't have a really big sweet tooth. So this helps me stay fit by not reaching to those things. I would much rather have a plate of rice and beans or fruits and vegetables in order to have real nutrients and not these false, hollow substitutes of meals. And that's something that I've developed over time. Now, don't get me wrong, I will crush a baklava every time you put it in front of me, but it's not something that I do on a regular basis, and that helps me a ton. So that's number 3. Number 4 is alcohol consumption. I drink a lot less when I'm traveling, and that's not only for health benefits, that's also for safety, that's also for saving money. And I'm a lot more likely to skip drinks at night and maybe just have 1 drink out versus 2 or 3. And with beer, and especially in Europe and certain places in the world where beer drinking is a part of life, I will opt for a lighter drink. Like I'm a big vodka fan and whiskey fan, so I would rather have a glass of vodka and whiskey over 2 or 3 beers a night. So that's just something that personally, alcohol, I go for the lighter stuff when I'm traveling and also less of it. Now again, don't get me wrong, I've had some lost nights that I don't remember, drinking whiskey in Japan, cachaça in Brazil, and absinthe in Europe, but for the most part, one, safety-wise, let me preface this with, if I am drinking, I'm making sure that I'm with other people or people that I trust or locals. But in general, I try to opt away from drinking too much while I'm traveling. That health, safety, money, all those things. And the 5th thing that I have in regards to staying healthy, these fundamental principles, is I get plenty of sleep. That's a huge one that people overlook, and when you're traveling, sometimes it's hard. But I try to get 7.5 hours of sleep minimum every single night. And I know when you're on the plane or a bus or a train, it can be difficult, but I will always try to make up for that. And thankfully, because of the way I travel very slowly, and I usually get an apartment or an Airbnb for a long period of time, I have more of a routine when I'm traveling. So sleep is a huge aspect of that. So those are the 5 things that I make sure I do every single trip, no matter what. Next up, let's talk about food specifically. Now, I reach for one of 3 snacks all the time: protein bars, nuts, and dried fruit. Those are my go-tos. And my secret weapon for all snacking, the best possible thing I can recommend when you're traveling, is peanut butter. It'll fill you up. Those long days where you don't know when you're gonna get your next meal, slather on some peanut butter on a piece of bread, and you're good to go for hours. Before a hike, before you go out dancing, whatever it may be. Peanut butter, peanut butter, peanut butter, peanut butter, peanut butter. Peanut butter. All right, snacks aside, let's jump into the meals. And the first thing you need to remember here is that I am never turning down an invitation to a dish, to a recommendation, to a restaurant, wherever it may be. It's a sign of respect. It's a sign of me wanting to immerse myself in a local culture and understand a different perspective and taste buds from my own. So I will never turn down a meal. Now, the secret is in how I get around eating all this crazy stuff and still maintaining my fitness. I stay fit because not all of my time is spent eating on camera or eating out in different places. Usually, the way I travel is I have an Airbnb or an apartment or someplace with a kitchen, and I prepare most of my meals. So if I'm not out shooting or out testing new stuff, I'm usually home preparing a meal. 1, because it's healthier, and 2, because it saves me money. For example, for breakfast, I eat one of 2 things almost exclusively when I'm not out, and that is oatmeal and eggs. I usually have one or the other. Sometimes I have both if it's gonna be a big day. And with the eggs, I try to have vegetables. And with oatmeal, I try to have dried fruit or nuts or, of course, peanut butter. And that is a healthy start to my day, and that gets me going. Now, for lunch, I'll have usually the same thing, and that is chicken with rice and vegetables if I'm home, and the same exact thing for dinner. Chicken, rice, vegetables. That's what I try to maintain. Because at most of the time, if I'm out, I'm trying something other than that. So I come home and I have a very basic dinner. And I'm okay with that because I'll save my taste buds in my wallet for when I'm out. The point is, I eat everything and anything when it comes to local cuisine. No restrictions. However, when I do have the opportunity to cook for myself, I always go for a healthy option because I know when I go out, it won't be as healthy. So that's how I maintain this level of balance when it comes to food. All right, now let's dive into the exercise portion of this program. And let me start out by saying, I'm extremely active when I'm traveling just because that's the type of exploration that I like to do. Whether I'm hiking, biking, swimming, kayaking, canoeing, whatever it may be, I am indirectly already active because of the adventures that I'm on, and that's just the type of traveling that I enjoy. But on top of that, the things that I do consciously to stay fit while traveling start out with, first of all, I walk almost everywhere in cities. I love walking through the city. It's one of my favorite things to do. Maybe put in some music and just walk, get lost around a city. So I walk almost everywhere. That's first. Second, I try to play basketball in almost every country that I've been to. I've played basketball in Turkey and Bhutan and Colombia and Brazil and Argentina, everywhere. I try to find a run of basketball. That's my life passion. That's how I meet new people. And it's one of my goals when I'm traveling. So that's another thing that I do. And on top of all of that, I exercise. I try to work out 5 days a week. And in a lot of countries, there's outdoor gyms that you can use, or even training facilities that are free. For example, Brazil has one of the best gyms that I've ever been to, especially in Rio. And they have circuits all around the beach where you can do pull-ups and push-ups and even bench press and homemade weights and things like that. So I can find a gym in a lot of these places outside for free. If not, I will actually try to go get day passes, week passes, or monthly memberships to regular gyms when I'm out. And on top of that, I try to find different classes and programs to mix up my workouts. I'm not a CrossFit guy myself, that's a whole other story, but HIIT training and high intensity trainings I am a big fan of. I've actually been the best shape of my entire life when I lived in Australia. I was in Cairns, getting ready to go into the Great Barrier Reef, and I lived there for a month, and I trained at a Muay Thai gym, which I absolutely loved, and I'm trying to get more and more into Muay Thai and different martial arts now. It's such a great workout. So I'm constantly trying to find different workouts that I can do to stay fit. Now, let's say, for example, I don't have a gym and I need to just find exercises to do while I'm traveling, whether it be in the hotel room, the airport, or on a family vacation. Let's jump into that. All right, let's say I don't have any access to gym equipment or any classes or anything like that. Let's say I'm just in my hotel room or maybe out in public. I will do one of a number of different bodyweight exercises. And I've also used a ton of different online apps like Insanity and P90X to help me do HIIT workouts, and they are great. I would highly recommend those. But if I just need a quick workout somewhere in the middle of nowhere, these are the types of workouts that I'll do with just my body weight. So basically, I'll do 4 different exercises, 1 minute a piece, with a 1 minute break in between. And before I do any of these exercises, I usually start with a cardio of some sort, either a 20-minute run, a 10-minute jump rope. I run up stairs if I can, I run up hills if I can, anything to get my body, my muscles, everything in motion, and then I jump into these workouts. So let me show you what I do. And that's it. This is a summary of how I stay fit while traveling. I hope this video helps. If there's anything I didn't answer, please leave a question in the comments of this video. I will definitely answer it. And if you have a good routine that you do while you're traveling, or even if you're at home, some key factors, please leave them in the comments as well. I'll definitely check them out. And I'll also leave a bunch of information in the video description of this video. So I hope you guys liked it. I hope it was helpful. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and I'll see you guys next week. Thanks. I gotta go for a run. No, I hate running.